Life is full of joys and sorrows. We experience seasons of laughter and seasons of tears. It's during those difficult times when our hearts are heavy with pain that we need comfort the most. Psalm 34 verse 18 offers a powerful message of hope. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. This verse is a soothing balm for our wounded souls, reminding us that we are not alone in our suffering. God sees our pain, hears our cries, and draws near to us in our time of need. What does it mean to be brokenhearted? It's a pain that runs deep, a feeling of overwhelming sadness and despair. It could be the loss of a loved one, the ending of a relationship, or a personal failure that leaves us feeling lost and alone. We might feel like our world is falling apart and we don't know how to pick up the pieces. Our hearts ache with a pain that seems unbearable. It's in these moments of vulnerability, when we feel most alone, that God draws near to us. He sees our tears, hears our silent cries, and feels the weight of our sorrow. He doesn't turn away from our pain. He embraces it. He understands what we're going through and offers his comfort and strength. God's presence doesn't erase our pain, but it gives us the strength to endure it. He doesn't promise to take away our problems, but he promises to walk with us through them. He is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in times of trouble. When we feel like we can't go on, he carries us. Remember the story of Jesus weeping at the tomb of Lazarus. Even though he knew he would raise Lazarus from the dead, he still felt the pain of his friends' grief. He wept with them, showing us that it's okay to grieve, to feel our emotions fully. God is big enough to handle our anger, our sadness, our doubts. He doesn't expect us to be strong all the time. He just wants us to come to him as we are, brokenness and all. Crushed but not crushed, finding hope in despair. The psalmist also speaks of being crushed in spirit. This feeling goes beyond sadness. It's a sense of being completely overwhelmed, like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. We might feel hopeless, lost, and unsure if we can go on. It's in these moments of utter despair that God's promise to save takes on even greater significance. He saves us not just from our circumstances, but from the depths of our despair. He lifts us out of the pit of hopelessness and sets our feet on solid ground. He reminds us that even though we may be crushed by our circumstances, we are not crushed in spirit. We are still alive, we still have hope, and we are still loved by a God who will never leave us nor forsake us. Embracing God's comfort, practical steps and examples. So how can we find comfort in God's promise when we are brokenhearted and crushed in spirit? Prayer, pour out your heart to God. Tell him everything you're feeling. Even if it's messy and raw, he already knows and he wants to hear from you. Read his word. The Bible is filled with stories of God's faithfulness and love for his people, even in their darkest hours. Connect with others. Don't isolate yourself in your pain. Reach out to trusted friends, family members, or a pastor. Sharing your burdens can lighten the load. Remember the story of Job. He lost everything, his family, his wealth, his health. Yet even in his despair, he never cursed God. He held on to his faith and God eventually restored him. Or consider the countless stories of people who have found strength and hope in God after experiencing unimaginable loss or hardship. These stories remind us that we are not alone and that God is always with us, even in the darkest of times. God's promise in Psalm 34:18 is a beacon of hope for all who are hurting. It's a reminder that no matter what we're going through, we are not alone. God is near, he cares, and he will never leave us to face our struggles alone. He is the God of all comfort, and he is close to the brokenhearted.